This is an interview with Ella the day after Christmas, 2008. So, Ella, could you just start by saying where you were born and when?
September 7th, 1922.
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, yes.
Okay, and what was the name of the town again?
Mount Hope.
Mount Hope, okay, right. So when you were a little girl, did you have any aspirations or anything that you wanted to do with your life?
I always wanted to be a school teacher. I'm talking right through my nose because I think I'm getting a cold.
You sound fine.
As a school teacher, I always wanted to be a school teacher.
So you didn't go that route, did you?
No, I didn't go that route. You want to know why?
Why?
Oh. Because I was one of 7 children.
Okay.
And it was, Depression times. And when I graduated from high school, I was what's the second thing in high school?
Salutarian?
Salutarian. I was salutarian. Oh. And there was not even a thought of sending us to college. My brothers or any of us, Not even a thought, because we had to go to work and try to make some money.
Wow. So did the depression affect you when you were growing up, or was it more when you were about to go to, when you were in high school? When you were a little kid,
Yeah.
did it affect your family in terms of having enough food to eat or anything?
Well, we never had a bread line. We never got a bread line because my father worked for the government. He was some kind of a laborer with a Navy Yard up there. So he had a job. Of course, it wasn't easy to, with having 7 children,
Yeah, even in good times, I'm sure.
And so we never got that bad that we had to go to a bread line.
That's good. So what did you end up doing? That's the big question.
Oh,
you weren't a teacher.
I ended up being a telephone operator.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
How long did that last?
Well, it lasted until I got married. Because there's a little story attached to that.
Okay, tell it. Let's hear.
The telephone company hadn't hired anybody for 8 years. Wow. So there was an opening, and I had an aunt who worked for the phone company when the Navy Yard blew up right above us. And it was a big explosion.
Wow.
And it affected all the towns around. It affected our house, which was like 15 miles away.
Wow.
The windows came out of our house. So my aunt, who worked for the phone company, and the phone company consisted of a little board behind a pharmacy, no office. And she sat there all through this whole thing and called everybody in town and said, "Get out of town."
Wow.
So she won a hero's medal for that. And so years later, when I went to apply, the man said, "You related to Joe Ryan?" And I said, "Yes, she's my aunt." He said, "Well, you got the job. If you can do one quarter of what she did, you've got the job."
That's good. That's a good story. Your aunt saved the day twice.
Then I went to work for them.
Cool. So you did that for a couple of years until you got married. And which was, you were telling me yesterday when you were 19, you got married? And
the telephone company at that time, they were like your mother and father. They treated you like your mother and father. You could only do what they told you.
Wow.
Yes, telephone company used to be that way. And I got an engagement ring and from my husband. And of course it went all over because they had in the meantime transferred me out of the little town I was in because we only had a little board and no place to go. And they wanted to put me in a bigger city so that they could make me supervisor.
Wow.
And train me more. management. I was management material.
I like that. I'm not surprised.
So anyway, and so I went to this other town, which I wasn't too thrilled with because I had to get a bus where I lived. You know, I walked to work. But anyway, the manager of the whole North Jersey telephone company, that was New Jersey Bell at the time, the manager came up to have a consultation with me, and he treated me like he was my father. I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. He was really upset.
Was he interested in you?
No, he was old. No, he was older.
Oh.
And he said, we have big ideas for you. You know, you're headed for big things. All this crap they give you, and so I really didn't know what to say to him because I wasn't sure I wanted to be engaged either.
Really? Wow, that's pretty interesting.
So anyway, and then I told you about how he was going into service, and he had to get married before I went into the service.
So you married him before?
So that was 1, 2, 3, but the telephone company was very good because I got pregnant right away.
You did?
1 year.
Wow.
My oldest son was born 2 days after our year anniversary.
Wow.
So
didn't waste any time.
So anyway.
So did you raise your son when your husband was in Europe?
Yes.
Wow. At age 20, I guess.
Well, I wasn't alone. I moved to his mother and father.
Okay.
Because they were alone, and they were alone, and they didn't have anybody, and my parents was loaded with kids.
Right. They had their 6 others.
Yeah, and he too, he wanted me to stay with his mother and father because they didn't have anybody and blah, blah. So I did for a while. I always say, the Catholics have I don't know whether the Jewish people have it or not, purgatory.
We don't have that. that was your purgatory?
That was my purgatory.
Well, at least you could laugh at it now.
Yeah. But really it was my purgatory. She was a little poopy, yeah. So I finally, and I would never tell him. I would never complain and never tell him anything, because he would immediately write his mother a letter.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
Oh no!
And then really be terrible.
Right, it would be a blow up.
So I got to the point where I wrote him a letter and said I have to leave here. I can't stand it anymore. So I went to my mother's.
Was your husband understanding about that?
Oh yeah, at the time. Yeah, I guess so.
He didn't complain.
But he didn't show it.
That's good.
But it was so much better because I had all those 5 brothers, and every one of them was in the service. Each service was one was Navy, one was Army, one was Air Force, one was Marines. They were all covered.
That's cool.
And then